Birthday boy? Happy birthday from yesterday, Todd Father. How was it?
Thank you. It was good. Wifey threw a surprise birthday party, man. Really classy. Good call by Jack. I appreciate you. Love you, hon. But it was solid time, man. Big 4-0, man. Welcome to the 40 club.
You look good. He looks good, Kratz.
Thank 40. I didn't realize you were 40, man. You're on another level. I thought you were still super young. You got them fake pearly whites. Yeah, them Johns look nice.
No, there's nothing.
Tell
fake.
Jackie.
No,
tell Jackie I didn't get. Tell Jackie I didn't get a text. Like, I like steak.
Oh, she just texted me now. She said for some reason it said call couldn't go through for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, bad network. Yep. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Thank you.
Tough service in the sticks.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about it. But anyway, everyone wish Todd Father a happy birthday if you're watching live in the chat or afterward too. And throw a subscribe on Foul Territory YouTube channel or wherever you get your pods, because we're going to go right to our heavy hitter here at the top. Let's hit the inside scoop with FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal, making us jealous outside, hopping to camps. Ken, great to talk to you. And we saw the big article you put out this morning laying out some counters to just a straight, hard salary cap. So what do you have for us? Lay it out.
Well, the purpose of the article, Scott, was just to really say a salary cap is not the only solution here. It seems that the way the conversation has gone in recent weeks, that's what people are thinking. Well, it's a cap or nothing. And I would suggest that the sport is in a very healthy place right now. We know the revenues last year were $12.1 billion. They're expected to be even higher for 2025. When the numbers come in, we saw a great World Series. 51 million people watched Game 7 worldwide. It's not the right time for a labor dispute, which would be triggered by the owner's push for a salary cap. Now, they may push, and that's fine. They have every right to do whatever they want to do with negotiations. But in the end, what I believe will happen and should happen is revision to the current CBA. And what the article is are just a bunch of ideas that I throw out there. They're not fully formed ideas. They're not formal proposals or anything like that. It's just thoughts on how to address the issue of revenue disparity, which some people might say is not an issue. It's kind of a hard thing not to say is an issue when you have one team at 400 and one team at $100 million. But that was the purpose of it, just to kind of counter this ongoing, whoa, this sport needs a cap. I don't know that it needs a cap. I don't believe it does, first of all. And second of all, if you try for a cap and you miss time in 27, well, shame on everyone. That should not happen.
Yeah, agree totally. And I think, from reading the article, understanding what you're talking about, I want to know from you, with all the things that you put out there, what's basically besides that, what's the number one thing that you've gotten out of this that needs to be changed in this CBA, in your opinion?
Todd, first off, happy birthday. And
thank you.
As far as that question, it's a good one. And the number one change, in my opinion, that needs to happen is to get more revenue to the small market clubs, and as part of that, to ensure that they spend it on major league payroll. Now, how do you do that? What Commissioner Rob Manfred is trying to do right now is get more games nationally. Take some of the local games and make it part of a national package. Of course, do new national television deals as well. And one of the ideas in there is simply distribute that money not evenly as it has been distributed in the past, the national TV money, but give it disproportionately to the lower revenue teams. It's one way to get them more money. Now, part and parcel with that is those teams. Sorry about this, guys. Those teams.
You're good. We can't even hear it, Ken. You're good.
A higher level. And obviously in a cap system, you have a salary cap and a salary floor. But it has always struck me as odd that at the top of the pay scale, top of the payroll scale, we have a luxury tax system with thresholds and penalties. Why not do that at the bottom? Similar kind of thing, soft bottom, where you go below a certain level, there are penalties for that, whether it's losing draft picks, losing revenue sharing money, could be anything. And philosophically, I don't see how the owners could oppose that. You got this at the top. Well, why not put it at the bottom?
Ken, I'm going to be lambasted for saying, oh, this is such a player's view. A lot of these issues are owners versus owners. And you even brought it up in in part of your article today. Like, why has it seemed like the fight seems like players have to negotiate owners versus owners issues?
Well, historically, that's at times been the case, Erik, where basically the owners were asking the players to solve their problems. And in 94, 95, that was certainly an aspect of it. In this case, we'll see how together the owners are. People always talk about, well, can the players stick together? It's always a fair question. But where are the owners going to be? Are the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Dodgers and Mets in particular, going to be content to share more money, if that's what it comes to, if there is nothing on the other end for them, if these teams don't spend that money properly? Now, in a cap system, obviously, it's a different scenario entirely, and that in some respects, from the owner's perspective, would be very healthy, not just for franchise values, but also the Dodgers and Mets would only be spending so much in that scenario. Maybe that's what ultimately they would prefer. But at the same time, what I like about the current system is, why would we limit teams and what they can spend? Why are we telling them you can't do this? You could put penalties in, and you can make it tougher for them. And all of those things are proper within the context of the current system. But the idea of saying, don't try as hard as you can, that's problematic.
One of the things that always comes up in the CBA negotiation is the fact that teams at the bottom don't spend enough. And you kind of hit it on a little bit. Do you believe that because every negotiation starts at a point for everybody, they're saying salary cap, what do they really want to hit? If you want to make $100 million, you're not going to say, I'd like $100 million, because they'll negotiate back and go, we'll give you 50. So they want the salary cap, but where do they really want to get to? Where do Major League Baseball really want to get to?
Evan Drellick, in his article from Wednesday about the salary cap and how it would work, I believe had numbers along the lines of 260 at the top, 150 at the bottom. It's not exact, but it was in that range.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, is unrealistic on both ends. The small market teams, some of them can't get to 150, and some of the large market teams are not going to want to go down that low, and frankly, can't go down that low for quite some time. And in the cap leagues, and I point this out in my article today, basically the cap and floor, for the most part, are quite close together. 90% in the NHL and NBA. 90% of the floor is, 90% of the cap is where the floor is. So that's very much condensed. In baseball, there's no way you could do that. And I have a hard time seeing, we haven't talked about this much. Okay, you want a cap. How's it going to work? How this is going to happen exactly? And of course, we haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm sure the owners have plans to make it work and in their eyes can pull it off, but I'd like to see it in practice. I don't believe for this sport it is that practical, at least in the models that we've seen from the other sports.
I like what you wrote on there about teams having to meet a payroll. And I think you hear a lot of owners, a lot of, presidents talk about, we don't have, we're a small market, we don't have the money. I think a soft floor like you're talking about here where teams don't meet it, what would be the extent of not meeting a payroll if that was to be instituted?
Well, this is my idea, Todd. It's
that's why I want to hear. I
discussed.
just want to hear about it for sure.
Right. What I'm talking about is you don't hit a certain level, you lose draft picks. You don't hit a certain level, you lose revenue sharing money. You don't compete at a certain level, win a number of games, a minimum over, 3 or 4 year periods, you lose money that way, or you lose something. So there are ways to do that. I'm sure the owners would hate that idea. They would say, no, you want a floor, you got to have a cap. And I'm saying this isn't a floor. This is a soft floor like the soft cap that currently exists in baseball. It's not really a cap, but you know what I'm saying? There are restrictions there.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying. Restrictions at the bottom too, because if those teams are going to get more money, and I'm suggesting that they should get more money, then at some point they've got to spend on payroll, not infrastructure, not on a new academy somewhere in Latin America, not on clubhouse improvements, not on all the things and all the excuses they make not to spend on payroll, staffing, whatever the case might be. You put it into the major league team. That's what I would like to see.
Ken, and that's my question. I know we're not going through a history lesson with the labor agreement right now, but where did we go wrong where that wasn't a thing? That's the pressing question for me. How did we get to a place where we have a soft cap, but we don't have a soft floor? And then even more so what you're saying right now, money is being shared. And I think this is the biggest fight within owners, right? And we never get to really hear from how those conversations go. But you're a big market team. You're like, I am giving so much money to this team, and they just spent $100 million on their spring training facility to up their franchise value. They're going to say, oh, this helps. It definitely helps. But they're like, that's not really the intent of this. So I'm just curious how we got to a point where teams are pocketing cash, and you just do very simple math, and you're looking at a national TV deal, among other things that are shared, and you're like, there's no way this team should be spending at this low of a number.
Right. Scott, I don't know exactly when the luxury tax was instituted. I believe it was with the 96 agreement coming out of the strike. And then it was shelved for a couple of years and brought back in 2002. At that time, and I don't remember exactly, I was, of course, working, but I don't remember exactly what happened. But it doesn't seem to me that the spending at the bottom was as problematic as it is today. That teams weren't spending at a level that was, or were spending at a level that was kind of offensive to people. I don't recall it being that way. Now, maybe at that point, the union should have had the foresight to ask for that or demand it. The union back then was pretty good. They were winning negotiations pretty much every round, but I don't recall exactly what happened there. But this is the whole thing. And some fans are understandably upset about what the Dodgers and Mets and even the Yankees and Red Sox do. Okay. Blue Jays are another team. But there are other fans who are equally upset by what teams like the Marlins and the Pirates before this year and the White Sox, some of these other clubs have done as well. And you can't complain about one and not complain about the other, in my opinion. And you can't address one without addressing the other.
Are the owners together more than they were before? Because before, every time in the public, it's, oh, we voted 30 to 0, knowing that's not the case. Are they more, are they on the same side of this argument more than they were before? Like if it was 15 and 15, is it one way or the other now compared to the last CBA?
We haven't gotten going yet with the negotiations, Erik, so it's kind of hard to read. It's real easy to be together, both sides, right now. Nothing's happened yet. When push comes to shove, when the numbers start flying, when the proposals start going back and forth, will the owners be as together? I have a hard time believing it simply because if I'm the owner of the Cleveland Guardians, my worldview is much different than it would be if I were the owner of the Los Angeles Dodgers or the New York Mets. That's actually the problem we're talking about here. So we'll see if they stay together, and maybe all 30 do support a cap. They need 23 votes to get anything approved on their end. And of course, they have to deal with the players. I can see where that might be the case. 23 might support a cap, if only for their franchise values, which is the real motivation here. They want cost certainty so they can get their franchise values up. The franchise values in the sport have not increased as dramatically as some others. But again, there are many financial measures you can use, many indicators. I would look at attendance being up each of the last 3 years. That's happened for the first time since 2005 to 2007. There are so many good things happening. If a cap, which one is maybe difficult to pull off for the sport, and two, more importantly, a real problem for the union and something that is going to cause you to possibly miss games, maybe a lot of games, that's a high cost to me. It's too high a cost to pay.
All right. Then the other side. I know the negotiations haven't started yet, but we know the last CBA was agreed upon after the executive committee declined it, but the players said, no, we'll take it. Are the players on the same side? Are the players as tight knit a group as Tony Clark says?
I don't know that they're as tight knit as they were 20, 30 years ago. And they haven't lived this the way those players from the past did. There hasn't been a work stoppage in the sport since 94, 95. So that is a fair question, Erik, and it remains to be seen just how together they are. It seems to me that the majority of them do understand the issues here and understand kind of where this is and why a cap is not in their necessarily best interests. But one of the owner's strategies over the years has been to try to divide the players. And there are various ways to do that. You can offer young players some inducements, maybe higher minimum salaries that would say to them, well, hey, why are we playing? We want a higher minimum salary. Let's go. And then you can do it all kinds of ways, but they do try to divide the players, and it will be a test for the players to stay together because, of course, once we get to crunch time, if we do get to crunch time, then it's people's livelihoods on the line. It's their families' futures on the line, all of these things. And you're going to have some percentage of players, maybe not a large percentage, some percentage is going to want to play. So again, both sides will be tested in this regard. A labor negotiation is always that way. There are always people on both sides who are not necessarily in agreement with the majority. We saw it, as you said, Erik, in vivid form in the last round when the executive board said no, and the vast player population said, we're not listening to you. We're going to approve this deal. We don't want to go out. We don't want to miss games.
Hey, Ken, last one on this. And I've actually been reading a lot about issues the NBA has been facing lately where players are sitting. I mean, they've always been doing that, but even more so. I mean, there's some super tanking going on, and it's a league that has 2/3 of it that makes the postseason, and it's really dumbing down the regular season. I just want to point out that I felt as if the draft lottery, for example, was a really smart move and that both sides agreed to it. Do you feel like there's a little bit less tanking in our sport compared to the prior run before the CBA? And I want to be careful about how I phrase this. I think some teams are just going through financial turmoil and weirdness without getting too deep into it, versus I'm talking about the Nationals, the Astros, the Cubs did this, the Orioles did this, where it was like this scrap it all down 5 years, and I'm generalizing, where it's just awful and it's devastation, and you lose a generation of fans, and sometimes it works and turns into a title, and it worked for many of the teams I mentioned, but I just don't like the way that played out. So do you feel like at least say something like a lottery was a good lever to try and counter that?
Yes. And tanking has been disincentivized. So that is a good thing. And actually, Scott, I'm going to close with this because this is kind of the point I made at the end of the story. You can do little things to the agreement, like the sport has done on the field with little changes, not little necessarily, but a series of changes. And what am I talking about? The pitch clock, the enlarged bases, all the different rules changes that have come into play in recent years that have made the game a better product. What I'm saying is, why can't you do that with the CBA? Why can't you continue what you just mentioned, Scott, what you started in the last CBA, and maybe those little changes, and some of them would be bigger than others, of course, then it adds up to the sport being in a better place. I would suggest it's not in a bad place now, but it can always be improved. And that is what I'm talking about here. You don't have to burn the house down. You don't have to radically change where this sport is. You do have to do some things along the edges, and maybe even more significant than along the edges, to enhance the revenue equality. It's not going to be equal ever in the sport. And by the way, it's not going to be equal under a cap either. Even under a cap, you're going to have some teams spending more than another. But are there things that can be done? That's the point of what I wrote today. Yes, there are things that can be done short of a salary cap that would improve this sport. Now, I'm not saying that my ideas are the ideas that will come to pass and should come to pass. I'm a baseball writer. I'm not an economist. I don't necessarily have all the answers. In fact, I know I don't have all the answers, but that's the conversation I would like the sport to have.
Yeah, and I'll say to fans, be careful what you wish for, right? If you want radical change, the league might change significantly and it might not change the way you want it to. Just throwing that out there too. So love hearing both sides. Bowden comes on and brings the ownership side all the time too for this. But Ken, great article. And yeah, I saw what Evan put out there. We'll talk to Evan Drellick at some point. But if you want to see what Ken put out there today, The Athletic, his Twitter account has the link to it as well. Ken, thank you. Enjoy camp. You're in Royals camp?
Royals camp today, and I'm going to head to the Diamondbacks in a little bit.
Perfect. Okay. Enjoy. Thanks, Ken. We'll see you on Fair on Monday.
Thanks, guys.
Fair territory Monday, but also if you backtrack to the Thursday episode, they went over BagGate, which we'll talk about later. Luke Weaver. That's all I'll say. Hey, sometimes we do a little game on Foul Territory called Role Play. It's not what you think. We're just picking up our phones and we're talking as if we're somebody in baseball. But if you'd like that phone to be a little bit cheaper for making phone calls, who should you call, Kratz?
Mint Mobile, because you get all the same speed with a tiny little price.
Same coverage, tiny price. Ready to stop paying more than you have to? New customers can make the switch today, and for a limited time, get unlimited premium wireless for just $15 per month. Switch now at mintmobile.com/territory. That's mintmobile.com/territory. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required, $15 a month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Over 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com. Save money. Get after it, FT fam.
Charging the mound.
Before we jump into some rule change updates, we just want to throw this out there. Our FT Spring Training Tour is beautiful. It starts on Tuesday at Royals Camp. Then we're at Guardians Camp. We talked to the A's on Thursday, Friday with the Dodgers, Saturday with the Mariners, Sunday with the Rangers. And for the rest of the calendar, you can look on your screen. If you're listening to us via podcast platform, you can look on the screen when you get home or when you're not driving. If you're driving, we have a really beautiful calendar with palm trees. And I'll read week by week as we go. It goes into March. It's really almost a 5-week tour. AJ is getting ready to fly out to Arizona. So more details as we go along, and we'll share this calendar later in the show. Now, let's go over the ABS challenge system information that has been shared. And Jeremy, running point behind the scenes here, you can just start to put up what we have. I'll read it to set the scene for our guys, a few little intricacies of the rules, and then we can react. So this from Alden Gonzalez. New wrinkle with MLB implementing the ABS challenge system for the regular season in 2026. In extra innings, teams will have at least one ABS challenge. So if a team has 0 after 9, boom, you get one for the 10th. If you lose that one in the 10th, you get one again for the 11th inning. So that puts you in a position where, of course, if you feel like you got screwed on a pitch, you didn't run out, you didn't have to save, you got another one that pops up per extra inning. Let's stop there for a moment, actually, so we can react to it, and then we'll keep going with some of the other rule implementation. Todd Father, sounds good to me, right? You get a little extra something when you're in extras where, of course, every pitch counts throughout the game, but one pitch could decide the game, and you don't want to be without a challenge.
Yeah, and I think you'll see during those innings, you're going to see a challenge every inning. And, excuse me, it's integral too at the same time. It's like that first pitch, all of a sudden, am I going to use it? Stolen base attempts, that I said, for example. I don't know. It's going to be hard, but at the same token, I think it's the right decision because you want to get it right. And I think that's the biggest part of baseball. You want to get it right, especially late in the game when a run or a pitch or, a certain kind of ordeal that happens during the game is right. And you see that happen in other sports too, where they have, the same kind of deal. You lose a timeout or whatever it is. But the focus is on getting it right. And I think this is the first start of it and the exciting part of it, because you're like, people are going to be watching. They're like, challenge it out. Oh, they should have challenged it back. Boom. And then next thing you know, they save it or they lose it, whatever it is. So, yeah, I think it's the right call. And I think that's how it should be.
I completely agree. I think at the end of the game is when you have to get it right. That's the whole point. We're not looking for, and if you look at the numbers, like in the minor leagues, I think it was 50% challenged, position players, 50% were right. Like I think in the big leagues in spring training, it was like 52%. This is just taking care of the egregious calls. This is taking care of the egregious. People are going to complain because just like a tiny little tenth of the ball touched the box. Yeah, okay. But we're not going to have egregious calls at the end of the game when somebody throws 199, 2 balls off the plate. Like, no, challenge, boop, take care of it. That's the excitement of the extra innings. That's the excitement of extra innings plus the challenges. I love it.
Next up, those challenges are not to be used when the game gets silly. Position players in the game, no. Game's done. From the league, this is from Jesse Rogers, ABS challenge presentation. So they did a presentation to some media. One interesting thing will be when an ABS challenge and a video challenge, this is something else, just so you know. One interesting thing will be when an ABS challenge and a video challenge occur on the same play. This could happen on stolen base attempts, for example. First, the ball strike call will be decided. Then the challenge on the bases. So just some clarification, right? Kratz, little things are going to pop up where you're going to be like, what? So they went over all the scenarios, and there it is for that one. Sounds right.
Yeah, if you watch, I mean, I guess people haven't gone to minor league games, but they really kind of laid this out in the minor league games, and I think they've kind of ironed things out because they've tried it. They've tried different iterations of it, and these are all things that. Now the biggest thing is when there's like a challenge. Let's say a stolen base happens. You have to wait till that challenge is over, but the umpire can still judge, were you getting help from the dugout? Did the dugout relay anything? Because there's a delay there. So I think it's a part that will still have a little bit of consternation, a little bit of pissed off players in certain situations.
Yeah, and this is the part where it's like, okay, yeah, balls and strike. Now you give a little extra time, right? Right, Scott? If I'm not mistaken, will they get extra time, or they have to say it right then and there whether they want to review it? Do we know that by chance?
Yeah. So as far as I know, and I'm not the rules expert. Well, Kratz, you're probably better than me. Go ahead, and I'll follow.
They don't get any extra time.
Okay.
But it's seen at a different pace because think about nobody on strike 3. You're like strike 3. You're like, dang it. Challenge. Where strike 3, ball thrown down, everybody's watching. There's a little bit of time there to make that decision. Todd, like any little bit of timing is different. You still have to say it. You can't go, we're going to challenge the out or safe call at second base. And then as that's happening, you can't go like, hey, I want to challenge the strike call too. No. That doesn't, that timing doesn't change. What they're going to do is if the out call is what would end the inning and not the strike call or strike 3 call, then they challenge, then they show that they take that challenge first. If it's a strike 3 call, they don't challenge second base is how it works because there's no stolen base attempt if strike 3 is correct. If it's wrong and it's ball 3, then they can challenge the stolen base. Just little things that go with timing.
And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And we're going to be like,
for sure.
Oh, wait, who goes first? Let's go back and read the rules. So, hopefully it happens in spring training so we can go over it one time. I think that would help a lot of people.
I agree.
Before you go, Scott, this is 2014 is when they implemented replay. We opened the season against the Rays. I'm with the Blue Jays. Sal Butera, Drew Butera's dad, not anything with Blake Butera. This is a different. Sal Butera is running the replay room with a couple other guys with the Blue Jays. First batter of the year, Jose Reyes. He hits one. Center fielder, I'm not even sure who center fielder in 14 for the Rays was, comes in, dives, makes the play. Not sure if we should challenge. Everybody looks over. Jose Reyes pulled his hamstring running to first base on the play. Everybody's panicking. Literally first play of the season. Couldn't have gone worse. So, yeah, you wanted to iron out in spring training.
Josue.
And there are many spring training games to be able to hash this out with. So you'll pick up on any issues or any learning experiences for teams, right? If anything big pops up, we'll learn about it. Okay, next up, this I mentioned briefly. No challenging of pitches when position players are pitching.
Trash.
Jesse put, thankfully.
Trash.
What's trash?
Oh,
Why?
Todd, are you going to face a position player this year in the season? Probably. You play every day. We're not going to count that at bat. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. The umpire can just do whatever they want.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I don't like it
at all. This is not.
Why?
This is not.
That's a dumb
And people
one.
will say it's 1 or 2 at bats a season. Okay, Todd, are you going to give away an at bat this year?
Never.
I don't like that.
Hold up.
I don't agree with that one at all either. Why? Somebody comes into a meeting and they're like, oh, just so you know, I thought about this one too. Forget about when position players come in so we can get the game going faster. Come on.
Yeah.
Nah,
Stop.
come on. I didn't like that.
Yeah, but
one.
you guys are also now, in my mind, discrediting the ump. Like, let's not act like it's going to be a million wrong calls.
Yes, dude.
Yeah, but there's
They give those guys a little bit bigger zone because they don't throw as many strikes. So that's where they need to implement it more with the position players throwing, in my opinion.
Save all your challenges for the 12-2 game, and you can tell Kike Hernandez that breaking ball's not in the zone.
I know what Scott. It's funny that you do say it is funny, but at the same time, there's no time to be like, oh, just because a position player's pitching, you're not allowed to do a challenge. Like, come on, dude. I struck a guy out, and it was probably, the guy came to me and said, oh, it hit the box. It looked like it was a ball to me, but he would have definitely challenged that pitch, is what I'm saying. Adam Duvall, sorry.
Okay, fine. I'm with you. You get your challenges.
Yeah.
Two things. One, you know what? I mean, you don't. The league's not going to let you. But one, like Kratz said, every AB should count. Why? Because most of the league now is judged by number systems. The number systems are going, wait, there were 3 at-bats against the position player this year. That doesn't matter, right?
100%.
We're in the same boat. When we evaluate players, we're trying to be quick, and we'll throw numbers out. Here's his OPS. Here's his OPS plus. Here's his slug. Those numbers don't differentiate for a particular at-bat. So I'll give you that. That's fair. I understand. Yep. Plus, have we ever had a position player pitch in a game and then, for a team that's getting smacked and then that team ends up coming back? Are we just counting the game as nothing? Most of the time, yes, but it's not crazy.
This is my only example. In 2017, I spent the entire season in AAA until September. I got traded to the Yankees, and I got 5 at-bats against position players, 6 at-bats against big league relievers. I went 6 for 6 against the big league relievers. I went 0 for 5 against the position players. Now that's me because, I sucked and I was, trying to do too much when I was playing against those guys. But those at-bats counted the exact same. I remembered it because we tracked it. It was something fun and funny that we were doing. But when you're talking about guys' livelihoods in a 12-2 game, guess who's coming in? Dudes that don't play a lot. They're not like, Todd, you played every single game. We're keeping you out there so you can face Chris Heisey pitching off the mound, so you can face Eugenio Suarez throwing the last inning. No, they put the bench guys in. So that's where my argument is.
Okay. I thought that one was going to be 10 seconds. It turned into a few minutes, and I'm good with that. This is your show. I'm just here to point guard it and act like the occasional uninformed fan. One more for you. Let's look at the zone itself. So Jesse Rogers from the presentation. I've been in some of these before. The league will put like a PowerPoint together, put a lot of slides together, Google Slides, whatever it is, and they'll lay it out. It's usually really well done. I actually really enjoyed those. Jesse said the difference in the strike zone now with the challenge system, it's a little smaller than the umpire called zone. So we see the ABS zone. It is a square. We see the umpire called zone. That is a circle. Different geometry. Kratz, do you want to explain as a catcher how this is going to affect many lives?
Just learning.
I'm so confused.
The only way, Todd, basically it's over hundreds of thousands of pitches.
Yeah.
And just over history, umpires call a circular zone. Whether, there's so many, like, is it the catchers? Is it the fact that, your vision is not in a square and it's hard to see the points? There's so many theories behind it. Essentially, they came up with that over hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of pitches, that's like the standard zone. Some guys deviate smaller, some guys deviate bigger, a little more down, a little bit more away, whatever it is. It's just going to be learning. It's going to take, my opinion, I think it's going to take 2 seasons for hitters to learn this. For hitters to learn that is an actual square and where that is. And I think hitters will learn it sooner than you think. But I also think hitters are going to it's going to take time to figure that out. And this picture doesn't show it, but if you read the article, it talks about it's 53% of your height is the top of the zone. And that's the part that's, I think people are going to be very confused at and very unaware of, oh, well, that is a strike. And then there'll be ones that aren't a strike. And the other part is the depth of the strike zone, which they've changed since they started doing the ABS in the minor leagues. Where is that depth point? Because that depth is, they had it at a different point on the plate, and there was pitches that were not touching the ground, but almost touching the ground that were hitting the ABS system, and it was called a strike. I think they got it figured out, but even that's going to be something new, a caveat, a little intricacy for big leaguers and big league catchers, big league hitters and big league catchers to figure out.
Yeah, and you see the corners were never called, really. So that was on that square in the circle, it was more in and out, more up and down. But the 4 quadrants, the 4 corners there rarely got called. So those are the ones, if you can give me a 1 box real quick here by myself, I can show Kratz, you understand, if the right hand is up, so on this side, this side, boom, you're trying to get that top right quadrant here, right? And that's the pitch, move over, where you catch it up top, but your glove keeps going a little. You catch it and try and bring it back, and now an umpire sees that, and he's like, you were trying to steal a strike when it was a strike. So same as down low in the other corner. So just depending on where you're positioned, but I wish they would take away the box and just have them throw it. And as a fan, you're watching, oh, I think that got it. You know what I mean? Instead of, saying, oh, the box didn't get it, so now it's not a strike, because umpires have a different box than what we're seeing on TV. At least that's what they told me when I played. So,
yeah, that's true. But I'm going to present the other side as a fan who did not play anything close to Major League Baseball. I am obsessed with the box. If you take the box away from me or you even fade it a little bit, I'm pissed. I understand that there's a little bit of variance, but I want to see the box. I want it there. So I think it helps a lot.
I'm not mad that it's there, but if they did get rid of it, I'd be like, okay, cool.
That's because you played the game. You're just eye testing. You know what stuff looks like. And maybe you like a little bit of surprise in your life where you're like, I don't know where that clipped.
I do. I'm not afraid of a good surprise.
You just had a birthday party surprise.
Hey,
see, I'm not a surprise party guy.
By the way, I had a facial too this morning. My wife got me a facial, man.
First time?
Jersey Shore facialist. Thank you, girl.
Not,
Appreciate it.
That's why he's
not your first time.
No, not my first time, but it was a surprise. I didn't know I was getting it this morning. So
we have so many surprises. Ken was in surprise. So that's
true. Ken was in surprise.
The strike zone is not going to be a surprise anymore. So yeah. No, I like it. But no, I would love to have the overhead cam. I would love to have not the side angle, because watching on TV, I need that box. I need the box. I love the box. I love when they don't have the box up, but then it just shows where the ball was in the strike zone. Like it just, gives like the circle filled in for a strike, circle, an open circle, ball. Like I love that, because we're talking about pitches that are 50-50. The ABS, you're just not going to, umpires are going to get half of them wrong, players are going to get half of them wrong, so those aren't going to change. It's the egregious ones. That's the only reason we have this, and that's why I love it.
One more layer. Kratz, you were a catcher for a long time. Some pitchers have impeccable control. For some, it's like a video game.
Yep.
They know the assignment now. Not for every pitch, because you can't challenge every pitch, but they know the assignment. And if you're a pitcher, aren't you looking at that picture that Jesse Rogers posted where the circle turns into a square and you know the spots? You're like, okay. I mean, of course, it varies based on which hitter you're facing, strengths, weaknesses, etc. But you've got a little bit more of a game plan target-wise in your head where you're like, I know to a T where that zone should be, right? With the square versus the circle and a little bit more variance with the gray area of a zone. What did we call it? What had we been calling it? The buffer zone, right? We don't have that anymore.
So trash. There's no
Dinner,
such
it's
thing as
out.
buffer zone. It's a strike or it's not a strike. Like, that buffer zone is trash. Here it is. Here is the strategery, the part that, is it going to change the game? No. Dudes are still going to get jobs because they throw 99 miles an hour. But there is a value for the dudes who can tickle the top. And they can get the bottom corner. And the guy who can figure out, my cutter, I'm able to throw that up and in where it does touch the top of the zone inside, but it's got to end up a little more on the plate. My cutter never is able to stay in the zone long enough to be able to touch the upper quadrant or the down and away quadrant. So there's going to be strategy for a handful of guys. And those handful of guys, they might be able to find value in this. They might be able to find, who is that guy? Is it a guy that used to throw 98, now he's throwing more like 91, 93, but he's able to take some of the advantages of that zone and use it for his advantage.
In conclusion, after what I thought was a very informative segment just now, we finished with a tie. Each of you used one fake word. For Kratz, the word was strategery, and for Todd Father, the word was intricately. So you guys tied. Good job, Step Brothers. 1-1.
Integral.
1-1.
He used integral.
Oh, integral. Still not a word. So
That's
integral,
a word.
strategery.
Integral's a word.
I don't think so. I have a lot of AI in my world these days.
Strategery is definitely
I'm finding this out right now.
Spell it for me, Todd, and I'll.
IT.
Integral.
FORTO.
INTEGRAL?
Oh, integral. You said integral. Integral, yes.
Word.
Essential, fundamental.
INTRICAL, integral.
Yes.
That's not
Kratz,
a word?
Integral, yes. But we just rolled back the tape and we heard integral. I had recently used the word intricate, so it could just be a little bit of word gymnastics.
My TERs go tra instead of ter. You know what I mean? That's the Jersey part of me.
Okay.
Integral. I said integral instead of integral.
Judges rule. Olympic judges.
Integral. Oh my God. I'm never saying that word again.
Strategery.
You're gonna have nightmares about
100%.
We need
One of my
somebody
favorite words to use.
To figure out the words we use like at the end of the show. What we got wrong.
You know
That's
what?
kind of my job. I'm trying to do more of it as, I've been working with you guys for years and I just say whatever. So I'm just like, I'm going to chime in as stat boy, nerd boy.
I like the word monolithic. I've always liked the word monolithic and I try to use it in as many sentences as possible.
What does it mean?
Monolithic? It's like one singular object, like a large rock. Monolithic.
Yep. Wow, that was actually beautifully, when I put it in my AI, the first thing that popped up was a single solid piece of stone. Beautifully done,
really?
Kratz. Yeah, I swear.
Nice.
A+. All right. You are now prepared for your SATs. Let's move on to a trade. I think the Astros are the movers and shakers of spring training because they still have more moves up their sleeves. They have this surplus with their infield. They also are still trying to clear some money perhaps to make some more moves. They bring back Joey Loperfido from the Blue Jays. Remember, he was involved in the Yusei Kikuchi deal a couple of years back. Jesús Sánchez going to Toronto. Chandler Rome of The Athletic and Crush City Territory telling us that it's a money-saving move. Sanchez is owed $6.8 million. Joey Loperfido is making less than $1 million. He's making the league minimum, which is $700-something thousand. Loperfido's pumped because he's already in that organization. It's like he got to go for the ride with the Blue Jays into experiencing a World Series in Canada, but now he goes back to Houston where I think he might get himself more playing time. Sanchez, definitely a platoon guy, also helps fill a void maybe left by Santander out there, and the Blue Jays can mix and match a little bit, and they can certainly afford the contract. Not that the Astros can't. Kratz, on the other side here, you have a surplus for the Astros, so you still wonder if something's cooking. We're getting a lot of rumblings. I think Chandler put something out there along the lines of expect more. So they are very active right now. And you keep thinking that it involves Isaac Paredes because of the infield surplus. Even Carlos Correa was asked about the situation. He said, we have a lot of people that could potentially be used in trades later on. I'm not a GM, but I know that only 4 infielders can play at a time. You have to make some moves, put some people in the outfield, have depth. So Correa had said with the owner that we have, we're not going to make our team worse. Everybody knows that when the Astros make a move, it's to make players better and make the team better. And that might be the case. I will say I'm trying to get all this stuff on the fly. Jesús Sánchez, when he joined the Astros, they were pumped to get him for the misbalance that they had, lefty-righty in their lineup. That was a big story over the years, but he did not perform well with Houston. So if you're owner Jim Crane, Kratz, and you're a baseball super fan and you invested in Sanchez last year and it didn't work out, you're like, bait it.
I'm just going to go by what Carlos Correa said. Carlos Correa was 100% brought back here. Not that Dana Brown didn't like him. Jim Crane loves him. I have heard Jim Crane say it when he and I were talking back and forth years ago, and how much he loves Carlos Correa and everything that he embodies and how he, just how he handles himself. So yes, Carlos Correa said, I'm not a GM. Carlos Correa is talking to the guy who ultimately makes the choices of how much money is spent. And this is a money move. And this is also a move that it was one of those things where Loperfido, when they traded him, I remember reading an article from the Astros, and I wish I'd kept better notes like Scott does. They really didn't want to get rid of him. It was more of the okay, it's fine. We're adding what we wanted in Kikuchi, but we really like Loperfido. And you don't usually hear that from organizations. So for him to go back, I've heard he is just one of the nicest dudes. He's going to get more playing time than he did with the Jays, and he had a great year with the Jays. So the Jays were like, dang, I know we didn't use him a lot, and we have a surplus, so I guess we'll get rid of him. But it's also a case where Jesús Sánchez just didn't. He wasn't drinking the secret sauce in Houston. It just didn't work out. Some trades, some guys go places, and the fit isn't always there, and that's okay. So good for them. Moving on. But I think there's another move. What if they went and got Gallen too? What if the Paredes thing? I don't know. I feel like there's something more than just we got to get rid of Paredes and continue to add to our outfield mix. What if they do something out of the ordinary? I know they don't like the whole qualifying offer connected to him. It just feels like Houston's lingering for something.
I have one other idea before Todd jumps in. Everyone can add to their bullpen. Josh Hader dealing with the bicep thing, just keeping an eye on it. I think Michael Kopech's still out there. There are a few other names too. Yeah. Could they add a reliever? No?
Yeah, they could. They could, but that's not they're not making moves to add Michael Kopech. They could add Michael Kopech yesterday.
Why?
You think he's going to command, at this point, you think
he's
going to command a large amount?
What's large? I mean, is he going to command 1 year, $7 million, which is around what Jesús Sánchez was making? So this is my one thing that I do think the Astros look at is the luxury tax number. They're usually dancing right below or above it, and they like to stay in that range. Jim Crane essentially treats it like a salary cap, not a hard cap, but it is a soft cap. They keep themselves around that range. So I could see that happening. Again, this broke right before the show, so I haven't done my nerdy homework, but just throwing that out there, you could see an arm like that added. There's still guys out there that are going to command multi-million-dollar contracts.
Yeah, and just to jump in, like when someone says they're not done yet, maybe it has something brewing. There's talks going on where it could lead to something. I mean, usually when somebody says they're not done yet, there's something in the background going on. But there's plenty of guys out there that are itching to get a job. So this is the time as presidents, as GMs, to go out there and be, hey, take it or leave it. This is what we're going to give your guy if he wants to play. If not, I hate to say bargains, but people need to. People have livelihoods and they want to play. So got to feed the family. So these could be some shorter, not as much money for some guys, not as many years for a couple guys, and spot fillers that they're gonna be like, it's a major league deal. I didn't get the money I wanted. And I've been a part of that, and it stinks, but you got to find a job.
The one thing that just keeps bothering me is that I feel as if the Astros were trying to get Isaac Paredes in Houston for years, and then he's the name that's being floated around in trade rumors. And they have some guys who are getting up there in years. It just seems like such a classic case of, I'll just throw this out there. Let's say Correa gets hurt, right? And then you're like, oh, man, this team is maybe going to make the playoffs by a game or two. They really need something. Oh, wait, they need Isaac Paredes, a guy that can just pull dingers in that ballpark and beat up the Crawford boxes. Still would love to see another full season of him out there. I get the logjam, and Correa is going to be the guy that's going to play every day until something happens at third. Jeremy Pena at short. Altuve at second. I think some Bryce Matthews over there too. And then first is for Christian Walker. It's tough. You can't have Paredes on the bench.
You can't keep him. You can't. Sorry, that's not how it works. Maybe you can have 7 or 8 really good starters, starting pitchers. But when you have a guy who should play every day, there's other ramifications to it. Do you know Correa's not going to play every day? Do you know he's going to get hurt? No, you don't know that. Do you know that Christian Walker's not going to get hurt? No, you don't know that. But you can't have – your organization can't, one, pay a guy that much to sit on the bench who is an all-star last year, and two, what does that look like for other guys who go and sign places? Oh, well, what's going to happen to me if I sign here and I had a good year and they're not willing to get rid of me? Like there's a little bit of a, not saving face, but the look. What does it look like to the rest of the league if they keep a guy like Isaac Paredes on the bench?
It looks like you have an embarrassment of riches.
Nah.
I know. It just sucks. I wish that this team didn't have the logjam, just because one of the most extreme pull hitters in baseball with a Crawford boxes is just fun, easy math to root for when you're a fan.
Boston.
Where's Jose Abreu when we need him?
What? Come on, man.
Why you got to do that? We're going to have Astros fans watching this clip later. But yes, Isaac Paredes to Boston. I don't think it's going to happen now because I guess they consider Durbin an everyday guy, but I think that would be nice. Oh, gosh. I agree. Okay, here's another guy who's up for grabs. Nick Castellanos. So we talked about him on yesterday's show, and then by the end of yesterday's show, he had been released. We learned about the beer incident. Some fans went after us on social media. I'm sorry. I'm going to stand by this one. I know that some teammates were pissed. I still don't think it's that big of a deal. So John Heyman said there's a lot of interest in Castellanos now that he's about to be free. Teams apparently were waiting for the expected release. And Isaac Azut from Fish on First said the Marlins do not have interest in Nick Castellanos, per sources. Well, there are many other teams. Good thing. Just want to make sure that Marlins fans are aware, Kratz, that your team is, again, not going after a player. Don't worry. They don't like free agency. That still remains the same.
It's not a free agent. What can we put that tweet back up? Because if I had like a good the Marlins do not have interest in winning, per sources, is what they meant, not Nick Castellanos. So
no, they just don't believe you don't need free agents to win, Kratz. You can build everything homegrown.
You don't need. They have good players. Like everyone's going to get after us because, they got so much pitching depth and they have so much to offer. Like, okay, then build around it. If you have this incredible, not even build around it, build something. Something. I think I read this morning, $78 million is their current payroll. What it would be opening day if nothing changes. And Nick Castellanos would be $780,000. I think the minimum is $780 or maybe $720. I'm not 100% sure. So the Phillies are on the hook. And I said it before, I'll say it again. And Philly, everybody in Philly, I even got put on a radio. My clip from our show here got put on one of the local radio stations. And they spent a whole segment about how, wow, how could he say something like that? How could he say Nick Castellanos is a valuable piece? We don't know exactly what went on. The whole beer in the dugout thing. And then somebody saying what he did was disgusting. Like all the things that are being bantered around right now. Like just pump the brakes. Wait to ask somebody who is actually there, like Nick Castellanos, and not just like some of the rumor stuff, but he can be a valuable piece to a team. Is he going to be a superstar? No. 2023 was the last time he got MVP votes, but that was as a Philly. His tenure in Philly probably isn't as bad as the way it ended up here. Is his defense declined? Yes. But can he help a team? 100%. 100%.
I'm just confused because I love the guy. I think he's a great dude, but he's also a really good player. I feel like he's getting the bad end of the stick over here in Philly, and I think a change of scenery might kickstart him back to being the player that he is, man. Listen, everybody's strong-minded. The strongest people in the world have the best minds. They can trick their mind of being comfortable, being excited, being positive. But if more stuff goes, it builds. Once you get home, you think about it. Everybody's human. So I think the human side of him, he needed to go just to get away from all the craziness going on and all that stuff. But I feel like he would help any ball club. He would get on the right path, and I think people would love him because, I've heard nothing but really good things about him and the way he plays the game. I love his attitude. I love his energy, his spark, and that little arrogance in the best way possible. I love that too.
I mean, and there's also articles out about Otto Kemp when he got called up, how much he helped him. Like, if a player makes more of a positive impact on your team than a negative impact, I think at the league minimum, I think there's a lot of value to a lot of different teams. It'd be very interesting to see not only who picks him up, but the fact that he gets to choose now who picks him up. He gets to choose because it's just a matter of, hey, what team? So, yes, is his most value as a DH for some team? Probably. Does he still feel like he can play right field? So maybe a team that says, we'll let you play 80 games in right field. We'll let you play 100 games in the outfield. You're not just going to DH. Maybe that's where he goes, and it might not be the place that everybody thinks.
Yeah, and last thing, like you think of Eugenio Suarez. We talked about him. I remember when we had, forget Bowden on. I said, hey, the Reds would love to have him a good pickup. He kind of like, shushed it off a little bit, not being rude about it, but Reds end up picking him up. Nobody really saw that coming. So, like, there might be a team out there like, dude, this guy can have a resurgence, and all of a sudden we give him, a little bit of money, and next thing you know, kickstart back his career. I agree. Totally.
Well, the league looks at players mostly the same way, and his defensive metrics are not good. You can argue it however you want. They're not good. Most of the league is going to want him to primarily be a DH. He actually said earlier this offseason he would explore first base. Maybe that's a spot that he starts messing around with in spring training. I think he's at a prove-it point where a team's going to say, I don't know. You probably are going to DH. We can mess around with first. You might not play a lick of outfield, or if there's injuries, you might play a little bit of outfield. But I know you have a chip on your shoulder. You've provided mostly above average offense over the last 5 years. You are a timely hitter if you watch him on an everyday basis. Nobody's saying this is a superstar, but this is a guy like these guys are saying that he can contribute to a team that needs some more offense. So Kratz, for me, I think if I'm Nick, I'm like, dude, I don't care what you do with me. I just want to go rake and play in the All-Star game in Philly this year.
You're such what is that called? It's not trolling, but
It is trolling.
You're living for that moment. You want to see every 2 for 3 game that Nick has this year. Scott's going to be like, "Ooh, let's get the voting going. Let's get the voting going." No, that would be nice. That would be sweet revenge, I guess you would say. But I think he's got a lot. I think he's got a lot to prove, and I think some of the things that just have circled out there. How many times has Nick really gone through struggles? How many times in his career as a baseball player, not his life, his career as a baseball player, he was a massively hot super prospect coming out of high school, made it to the big leagues super early, and has had success a lot along the way. Had to kind of re-up his value partway through, like right at free agency. And then he cashed in. So it's like, how do you handle those? How do you handle those setbacks? Is it time for a comeback? We'll see in 2026.
I'm going to read an excerpt from an article that Matt Gelb from The Athletic wrote. This was the article that drove, I think, Castellanos writing about the beer incident in Miami last year. The article, by the way, if you want to check it out, how the Phillies' $100 million marriage with Nick Castellanos ended in divorce. I want to get player perspective here because I'm getting a little bit of shades of Adam LaRoche. Young fans, you can look up that story, Google him. Here's from the article. About 4 hours.
Part of that one, sorry.
Right. So Todd, you got your first up here. Let me cue you. Ready? About 4 hours before Game 2 of last year's NLDS, Castellanos' final home game, a Phillies coach threw batting practice to Nick's son Liam, while some Dodgers players were on the field doing pregame preparations. Real Muto waited to take early batting practice. The same pregame hitting sessions carried over to Dodger Stadium, where Liam joined his father on the field before more playoff games. The Phillies had entered the series not expecting Castellanos to be a factor. An injury to Harrison Bader forced him into action. Castellanos had 2 hits and 15 ABs. He drove in the team's lone run in that heartbreaking 11-inning defeat in Game 4 that sent the Phillies home. Afterward, he sipped on a beer inside the losing clubhouse as everyone reflected on what was and what was not. By then, there was no love lost. The Phillies knew their marriage with Castellanos was ending. Playoffs, kid on the field, BP. Is that okay?
Yeah.
I
think it's fine. I do. I think it's fine. Maybe he could have picked a different time to go. Maybe that's the only problem I have with that. Make sure, when you're on there, nobody else is supposed to hit. If a guy's supposed to come in, hey, Liam, we got to get off the field, that kind of deal. I will never not side with a family member trying to have his boy on a field, on a major league field, working out, having a good time. But also, I will always side with the professional that needs to get his work done as well. But
they said Real Muto was waiting to take early BP. Again, like this is, at some point, Nick will come on the show. We can talk to him about this because this could be like one disgruntled person or person in the organization. That's probably where Kratz is going to come in being like, let me get him. Let me go after him. So I'm just presenting what is out there right now. Nick's going to talk. I'm sure he'll come on here and talk.
If this was the true story and how everything unfolded, hopefully when I talk, I sound like I understand. Hiromuto comes up, hey, big guy, we got to get off. He's taking early BP. Let's go to the cage. Like something like that probably should have happened. Yes, of course. The baseball player should get precedence of that. He's trying to win. It's the playoffs. The beer thing, when you lose, grab a beer, talk to the boys. What the hell is that crap about? I mean, come on, man. Like that right there, putting in a beer after you lost. Well, that's what guys do who like to drink beer. After a game, pour themselves whatever they're drinking, sip on it, and talk about what could have been. There could have been.
Yeah.
So could have, would have, should have. That part, that's bogus. They shouldn't have they put that in there for people just like, oh, and did you hear about him drinking a beer too? That's
well, I will say this, Todd.
I don't agree with that one at all.
I agree. We're all on the same page with that, beer in the clubhouse. That was kind of relating to the beer in the dugout incident. So just
No,
to provide
I
context,
heard that.
we're taking yeah, you saw that. He
He's
brought the
not the
beer
only
in.
one never. He's not the only one to ever do that. That's just
Well,
it got picked up because people are trying to find more crap and make it seem like he's worse of a person for doing that. Okay.
every Joe Schmo fan is acting like, he broke the holy rule of bringing a beer
Yeah,
into
that's where
the
I
dugout when he was taken out of a game. And we talked about it live reacting to it yesterday. And I got the straight edge brigade online being like, how dare he? You guys are defending him because he's come on the show before. I was like, I don't give a shit. It has nothing to do with that. I just know that there's probably hundreds of players who have brought a little sip of alcohol into the dugout after they're not in a game, or even some pitchers when they're not pitching in that game like a starter. So I know enough. You guys know enough, right? But Kratz, the floor is yours.
Hey, I won't comment more on we hit the beer thing plenty yesterday. I love the fact that it was a Presidente. And if you get an actual Presidente from the Dominican, I mean, it's almost like, Anyway, but the whole hitting on the field thing, I'm in agreement with Todd that, yes, families should be able to do things. You should be able to, but there is zero chance that JT Realmuto was standing there. Like how Matt painted it in that article, JT Realmuto wasn't standing there like, oh, I guess I'm not going to go. Watching these guys interact, watching how different guys interact with each other on the Phillies team, it really is like a family, and they've been there together. Was Nick was he saying, hey, you know what? This might be my last time that he gets to hit with me on the field as a Philly? Maybe he knew, his time was coming to an end. But I need to see the fact that JT Realmuto was being put out because of Liam hitting. Like Liam hitting before early work. Like early work is happening like when pitchers and catchers are out there stretching, when pitchers are getting their long toss in before home team batting practice. So I don't think this was as big of a deal. It was just it was another story that until JT comes on and says, dude, I was put out because of that. That banged up my entire rest of my routine. Or Nick comes on and goes like, yeah, Liam was hitting. Like it was totally fine. Like I wasn't taking up any time. Like that happens a lot, and I think that should always happen.
Agreed. And to button it up, if JT was really waiting, even if JT and Nick had a problem with each other, you have to let the guy go hit. Like that's I just can't see that happening that way. And if it did, then that's news to me and everybody in the baseball world that happened.
We're going to hear more about this at some point. Dave Dombrowski was asked about this. I watched the back and forth with media because Philly media was doing a really nice job trying to get answers. And Dave was just basically saying, listen, it was 7 months ago, and I'm going to let Nick handle the rest. So I'm like, okay. I hope Nick comes out and talks about it at some point, when he's comfortable to go over it. He'll sign, and then we'll figure it out. Sorry,
one last thing. I got a call after I talked about the whole Knicks situation from somebody with the Phillies. And yes, what I had said was addressed to me, but it was also then added on to that. The fact that, there's certain things that certain guys handle in certain ways. And it was like, okay, was it just the beer in the dugout situation? No. Was it just the Liam hitting and JT Realmuto standing there? No. This was something that was brewing, and I think whoever talked to Matt Gelb, or maybe Matt Gelb saw it and saw it a certain way, because things have been brewing. And to me, go back and look at what he did throughout his 3 years of his contract, 3 of the 4 years. I don't think it was an awful contract. There's much worse contracts out there right now. Let's put it that way.
It was 4 years because it was a 5-100, right? 520 a year.
Okay. I thought it was 4 years.
They're slicing off the last year because he had 1 year left. So I think it was 4 years.
Offensively, look what he did.
Mm-hmm. He did some things. Okay. And I think the league evaluates a player like him differently now. Is that right or wrong? I don't know, but
Totally.
right? You get destroyed on a WAR number for defense these days. And if you're out there,
he doesn't control the zone very well. He doesn't control
Correct.
the zone very well. He strikes out. Like, nobody's denying his deficiencies. The reason they came up with the acronym WAR, wins above replacement. The replacement player is the guy coming up from AAA. Literally, my career, I am the replacement player. My career numbers are right at 0. It's negative 0.1 is my replacement number. So I am the replacement. Is Nick Castellanos on every day of the week and twice on Sundays better than me? Yes. So that's why in my opinion, he should be on a big league team giving you 162 games.
You're not a replacement in our heart. Okay. Next up, I mean, that was great. I really enjoyed that segment. Hope everyone else did too. Let us know if you're watching this afterward. Drop a comment, yell at us, do whatever you want. Okay. Next up, we're going to go over BagGate in 1 minute. AJ, you know what I love about HelloFresh? The variety. Every single week, I can choose from over 100 recipes. That's a lot of recipes.
Agreed. You can go and you can narrow it down, Scott, to whatever you want. Family friendly, because I got kids sometimes that need to eat, so you can go family friendly, pescatarian, vegetarian, whatever you want to do. Healthy options, however you want to refine your search on HelloFresh, they will spit out delicious, healthy ingredients that then you get to cook, which I love to cook. I keep saying it. I love to cook. I love to chop up the ingredients and make beautiful dishes.
There's delicious steak and seafood plus 3 times more seafood options at no extra cost. Go to HelloFresh.com/FT10FM to get 10 free meals plus a free Zwilling knife, a $144.99 value on your third box. Offer valid while supplies last. Free meals applied as discount on first box. New subscribers only. Varies by plan. That's FT10FM. Brent Rooker is very good on Twitter/X. He's at camp, and he said a few reminders for everyone as guys start reporting to camp. 1, no one in the locker room cares at all if you show up with your stuff in your old team's bag. Cough, cough, I'm going to add this part. Luke Weaver, moving over from the Yankees to the Mets, showing up at the Yanks bag, which our show jokes about all the time, and then it's funny how that played out. Number 2, I want to do both. Number 2, it is pretty much physically impossible to gain, quote, 15 to 20 pounds of muscle in 4 months of off-season training. And that is, I will say, I can't be the expert on most things. I will say that is essentially true. 15 to 20 pounds, Todd Father, in 4 months, easy. 15 to 20 pounds of what is considered lean muscle, near impossible without help. Significant help. Illegal help. So anyway, what do you think of those 2 little nuggets from Rook?
That's great. Fantastic. I would have loved to gain 15 to 20 pounds, but it was more of mush than it was of gush, Yeah. It's a big moment because the only reason it's a big not a problem. It's funny to see him with the Yankees gear because if he went from Yankees to Milwaukee, it's there, but he went to the Mets bringing the Yankee bag. That's why it's a big thing. I think it's funny. You laugh about it, but people are like, oh, man, he still misses the Yankees. No, I just think that's the only big bag he had, and those bags are very good of storing things before you get to spring training. So, yeah, in the Yankee Met world, it's a big thing, but anywhere else, it's not that big.
Okay, Kratz looks like he's going to bring show and tell. There's his Yankee bag. Before we get to Trevor May's thoughts on this, he did this on May Day. There's the Phillies bag. They are beautiful. Kratz, fans are, not some. The fans that care about this stuff are really perturbed. There's another beautiful Yankee bag. They think that once you join a different army, you should not be wearing your ex-girlfriend's stuff. Just using analogies. Yeah. They're like, I see your Brewers one. They're great. But Kratz, my question to you, fans want to know. They're like, number 1, players are rich. Many of them, right? Not the leagueman guys, we can have that discussion. But Luke Weaver has money, right? He could get a bag to bring to camp so that it's not this. Number 2, a team could send him a bag in advance. That's like the 2 somewhat okay arguments that a fan throws out there. Now, that's if you care. Do I care about day 1 that happening? No, we talk about this all the time. But fans want an answer to that. Why can't you just get rid of the noise and bring in a bag from day one?
It's only noise because they're making it noise. Because Keith went on, his New York radio station and made it noise, and then fans clap back because they're jealous of a different organization, all that stuff. Like, you have your bag. Hey, I'm going to the field today. What am I going to take? I'm going to take my Brewers bag. Yeah, but you're playing for the Rays. Oh, all right. Well, I'll just put my stuff in there, and then when I get to the field, the equipment guy, because I've just showed you all the bags that I had. Those are the teams that I ended seasons with, so that's why I have them. You show up to the field, you have a bat bag from the team, and you have an equipment bag. Some teams even gave me a catcher's bag. So I had 3 bags with the team's logos on it. And you know what they do? They take those. They give you a new one. They put your stuff in the new Yankees bag, Brewers bag, Rays bag, Phillies bag. And then they send that bag back to the team that you used to play for. That's it. Mm-hmm. Like, you're actually helping the other teams out. Like, Luke Weaver did not take the Yankees bag back and then go out to the gym, the local Planet Fitness, and go, yep, just hanging out here with my Yankees bag, even though I'm a Met. He had his stuff, and there's a good chance half his stuff was probably in his Yankees bag from the season prior, and it didn't get taken out. That's what I did some years.
Yeah. Well said.
Well, that was okay. I didn't send them. Usually kept them in the back there, and then probably I would fill up the stuff I didn't need from spring training and ship that bag back home or whatever it is. So,
yeah. There you go.
We're going to get the full scope here, okay? So you guys are position players. Trevor May explained this on May Day. So we're going to run that, and then right off that, Miles Mikolas will be ready, and we'll ask him the same question because he's going from the Cardinals to the Nationals this year. Here we go. This is the full experience on FT.
It was reported that new Mets reliever Luke Weaver spent the last 3 seasons with the Yankees, arrived to Port St. Lucie with his old Yankees bag. I need a minute. Just give me 1 minute. Luke! How could you, Luke? Sorry about that. I'm okay. I can do this. The move that seemed to upset some fans and media personalities, including popular NYC radio host Keith McPherson and Michael Kay. Weaver addressed the incident in the New York Post, John Heyman, to the New York Post, John Heyman and Joel Sherman on the show podcast. All right, here's the quote from Luke Weaver. I thought it was a bit silly. Personally, I understand why people are, I wouldn't say an uproar, but why they're talking about it. I get it. To your point, it's very common to bring your old bag to your new team. They don't like first-class airmail a new bag, so I didn't get a new bag from the Mets, like a duffel bag. Just personally don't have, besides grocery bags or something, I just don't have anything to put my stuff in. Yeah, it's completely normal. That is exactly what everyone does. You get there the first day with all your crap in your bag that you didn't transfer into another bag, and then you get a new bag immediately. Don't worry. KK's got it, dude. Kevin Kears, he's got him hooked up with the bag immediately. Holy crap, who cares?
Miles Mikolas, new to the Washington Nationals, joining us right now. The FT Network is all over this BagGate story. We'll get into plenty more with Miles, but for a live report from a current player, Miles, your thoughts on this controversy involving Luke Weaver's bag going from Yankees camp now to Mets camp this year before he got a new one in one day?
My only thing would be if he drove to camp, he could have put his stuff like in any other bag that he might have had laying around. But if he flew, you need a nice big bag that you're flying or you're shipping. And I played with Weave, in St. Louis for a little bit, and I feel like he's a pretty simple, really well-meaning guy, and he's not going to go out and like spend money on a big bag just to travel with when he has a perfectly good Yankees bag. He's going to use that, and then he probably ditched it or shipped it home, and now he's going to use his Mets stuff.
Wait, Miles, are you two pieces here? Did you just call Luke Weaver cheap? And did you bring your St. Louis bag to Nats camp?
No, I did not call him cheap. He's resourceful. I would do the same thing. I'm not gonna go out and, you've got all these bags laying around. You've got these big baseball bags laying around. I've got a Rangers one, a Cardinals one. I've got like a big Tokyo Giants bag laying around. If I need a big bag for something, I'm gonna grab one of those old, probably my most recent, nicest, good quality baseball bag to transport some stuff. That being said, I was only making a short drive to camp. I threw some cleats and turfs in a non-team related bag and just brought them over in my car. So I didn't have to travel far. So I kind of had that luxury that he may have not had.
That's great. That's great. I'd like to move on from this now, but listen,
Good
your
report,
background, your background right now is incredible. Is your phone on the ground, or are you?
No,
like
I'm sitting out by my house.
Oh, beautiful.
Beauty.
Flex.
You guys like this view better.
Wow.
I'm just out of my house in Jupiter. My kids are inside finishing up some schoolwork because we homeschool them. I didn't want to distract them with all the.
No, you're good. You're good. And I don't want you to
motion.
hold the phone either, Miles, because then everyone's going to get motion sickness.
No,
so you're good.
I love the view. You could put it back. I was just mesmerized by the
it's
view.
It's Miles reporting from the sky, the beautiful, beautiful weather we are experiencing in Florida this week, 75 and sunny every day. Don't worry about it. But Todd, did you have one, or you want to? I do want to get the little Nationals lowdown here. Okay, Miles, congrats on the deal with the Nats. We're excited to see you bring your talents and also your experience to a very young team. So can you tell us how it all went down? How was the offseason?
It was a pretty slow market for a lot of pitchers, but we had been, talking to the Nats for most of the time. I mean, this is a team, kind of on my list, on my radar. I know there's some opportunity there with their young players and, veteran guys. Sometimes teams look for, someone on the older end of the spectrum to share some of their experience. And, when I found out what they were doing in Washington with they've got a new front office and they've got this new coaching staff, and it's kind of like everyone's starting from scratch a little bit. So I feel good about getting in there, kind of on their ground floor. They talked to me a lot about, wanting to have this really good clubhouse culture and, keep things like moving forward. And, they're going to be doing a lot of great stuff with their player development. And I thought it'd be fun to be a part of that. And, I'm not going to lie, being home for spring training again is, always a plus. I get to enjoy this beautiful weather, hang out at my house that we just moved into this last off season. So it's a good fit all around.
Yeah, your big house that you just moved into this offseason. Good for you. Anytime you can be home, it makes other spring trainings that much worse. So good luck enjoying your time at home, your afternoon naps after the games are over. But you said most of the time. You're talking to the Nats most of the time. What do you feel, or what held up the fact that you didn't sign until now? Was it one of those things where they contacted you and like, hey, we want to make you an offer, but we're not going to tell you what the offer is until we see what other guys make and what other teams offer you contracts?
Well, I mean, teams have to do their due diligence, right? They have to explore their options. They wanted to, I had a nice Zoom call with them. I know they wanted a Zoom call with some guys, get a feel for everyone. I feel like they were being a little particular in who they bring in. From a veteran standpoint, because they want someone that's, going to be maybe, well-spoken, is going to be good with the young guys. It's going to, I think I can do a good job. I'm pretty good with my work in the weight room, the training room. I'm always busy. So, hopefully I can, lead by example and, just be a part of a fun group. So maybe they were just narrowing that down. I know they made some trades. Maybe they're waiting to see if they're going to trade some guys or not to see if that spot would open up. And everything just kind of came together at the end, by the skin of my teeth, getting into spring training right on time.
Did you talk to any other teams? Was there any other teams as it kind of really ramped up with the Nats?
I believe there were, yeah. There were a few teams, some teams out in Arizona, talking, but when you start to think about the deals and what's the best fit, it's not always about necessarily the dollar amounts or things like that. Not to say I had like giant offers like pouring in, I not really that situation, but when you think about the overall scenario of what teams and what kind of team I can be a part of and where they're going with that and where I am in my career and what I have to offer, specific teams in general and what my role is going to be. And, I just thought the Nats ended up being a team that was a better fit than most.
I mean, I wish you could just play that on repeat because all the times people are like, well, why would he sign there? What's the deal with that? You know what? You're a human. Like this guy right over here, he's human.
Yeah.
Like he's a human person with a family. So good for you for saying that. And good for you for making every one of your freaking starts. One of the things I was thinking about when I'm looking at your stat page is people are going to say, strikeout rate goes down. This goes down. Baseball is always about, the negative.
Yeah.
You make every one of your starts. What does that mean to you? And what does that mean to the team that you're going to? Because it is a rare thing. Even on the best teams, they're like, we're totally fine if one of our best pitchers only gets 25 starts because that's not a big deal for us.
Yeah. It speaks to a lot is like just what I put into my body and my overall routine. I try to eat healthy when I can. I like to exercise. I like to be outside. I'm power shagging. I'm in the training room. I have a good routine. The training staff in St. Louis was great, and the experience I've had so far in Washington's been great as well. But you have to have a little bit of discipline to make all those starts and to stay healthy. And I know there's a lot of stats that don't shine the best light on me other than durability, which is one of the 5 abilities. Durability, availability, but when I look, they handed me a sheet of paper with my numbers and some percentages, and while some of them aren't encouraging, there's a lot of good ones there. I throw a lot of strikes. I attack hitters really well, and I know that with some maybe a little more deeper dive into the metrics or a little bit of more work with some of their pitching guys over there who I've talked to that I really like. So I think there is a lot of room for improvement there. Different approach with 2 strikes, getting outside the zone, setting up pitches that I can get out of the zone a little bit better, maybe some sequencing changes. Because one thing I do is I'm healthy and I throw strikes and I'm going to attack hitters, but then getting them to chase and, trying to use this new zone the way they're going to have it. I think it's fun. I think it's exciting. It's going to be a fun year.
We know about Japan, how you loved it over there, and they consider you one of their favorites of what you did and how good you were. Did any NPB team try and throw the bag at you? Maybe say, hey, dog, we want you back coming through. Have you considered that?
No. I've definitely considered it, but last year I got to my 9 years. So this year, if I can remain healthy and remain effective and, be in the major leagues the whole year, that's my 10 years. That's something I really want to get to. I really want to take pride in that. I know that's a milestone that a lot of guys are looking for. And then after that, I'd love to have another really good year. I think I've got some more good baseball in me. I'd love to play a couple more years here in the States, but I would love a little sayonara tour. They call it a sayonara tour. You go over to Japan for one last hurrah. I did recently hear they were getting rid of pitchers hitting over there, which was one reason I kind of wanted to go back, because I know that I think this is their last year hitting. Had I known that, maybe. But the baseball over there was so wonderful, and their fans were so great over there, and Japan is such a wonderful, beautiful place. Whether it's playing baseball or just on a nice long vacation, it's definitely something I want to do. I want my kids to experience.
Well, that's a lot farther away from home. Just so you know, I just want to make sure you know that on Google Maps so that you know. But yes, it'll be an amazing opportunity for your kids will be older. Your kid, I don't even know if your kids were with you when you were over there or not.
we had just had our oldest. My daughter was born my last year there. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the team you just came from, the Cardinals, you were kind of in the middle of the tear down, and now they really tore it down.
Yeah.
What are your opinions of it and what you've seen? Because you were there when they were having success, and the last few years, it hasn't gone well, and now it's a shell of the team that you played with.
Yeah. I mean, the Cardinals, I know they were kind of in between the tear down and the rebuild, but sometimes you have to wipe the board clean before you can, you have to grab a new sheet of paper before you can, paint that next masterpiece. And, they got a new front office and they're going forward with that. And I'm sure, that's a really good, smart group of guys there. They're going to make the moves that obviously, that they think are best. And it's definitely different. You had a team that was loaded with veterans my first couple of years there. And then, it was a little bit younger, but I think anytime you get caught in between, right? Like if you're going to steal a bag and you're in between whether you're going to go or not, you can get thrown out every time. So being able to accomplish what they wanted to do and, get rid of those contracts and get rid of some of those older guys and bring in some younger, fresher faces. And they're going to, dip into that minor league system that they've been working on the last couple of years. You got to develop those guys. At some point you have to roll over. I mean, you had guys there for, 10, 15, 20 years that have been part of that system. And, understandably, they want to go in a different direction because we hadn't played good. We caught some bad breaks the last couple seasons. We'd lost some guys. Guys had some down years. I'm going to regret forever not pitching better, my last couple years in a Cardinals uniform. But that's the way baseball is. You have good years, you have bad years, you bounce back, you have comeback seasons and things like that. And, wish all the best for all my buddies over there on the team. I hope they do great, except for the games that I'm, that we're playing.
Did you see the new rule that they just came out with, or just officially came out with yesterday about the first and third base coaches?
Oh no. What's that?
They have to stay in the box, which I'm pretty sure you had mentioned, hey, you know what? Maybe we need to keep these guys in their allotted box, but it's not a rule. It was always a rule. It was just never enforced. How do you feel about the fact that they said now they're going to enforce it, except they can move closer to their dugout if a poolside hitter is up for safety purposes?
I just had a couple of really good jokes fly through my head. I'm going to hold back on those for now, but I think it's good. I mean, if you got big poolside hitter and you want to get out of the way, they're wearing helmets now. There is definitely some safety concern there. My issue was with, I was tipping pitches. I was doing almost everything short of just showing my glove to the guy. And that's on me. Some of that's on me. It's not all that, but how far back you're going to go to look to sneak a peek at something, right? Like you're going to sneak a peek, if you're sitting in class and the kid next to you is hiding his test, if you're really looking, are you cheating? If he's just showing it to you, just giving you the answers. I was just giving him the answers for a couple, goes there. But I think it's good. You have these rules to, if you're going to have these rules, enforce them, or just take the box away, right? Like it's there. You might as well use it.
Was it cheating? Was it cheating? If let's say the guy was standing 1 foot in the box and he's going, like you said, he's like, he's craning to get his head over there to see, or if he's just standing there looking, is it cheating?
If you're by the cut of the outfield grass, which I know some teams will get there or they'll get pretty close to there. But if you're on the other side of first base and then getting close towards the cut of the outfield grass, and if you're moving deliberately to see something that's not available from a previous line of sight, and then you're signaling it, I mean, that's not far from banging on a trash can, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for everybody who, Miles doesn't need to say it, we have tracking devices on the field. So if you just look it up, I think it's Baseball Savant, you can see where the first and third base coaches are for each team and where they were on plays. It's just a dot It's a dot, just like the third baseman is a dot on the field, so people can look it up themselves.
Do they have the metrics for that? Like, does the positioning of the first base and third base coach correlate to higher batting averages? That would be a really interesting stat. If you could say like the 5 best hitting teams, they had, their coach was the furthest,
the deepest
down the line.
The first base coach.
I wonder. Maybe they'll start recruiting really tall. Now that you can't go that way, they're going to recruit the tallest first and third base coaches so they can try to look down into your mitt.
I love that. The whole Bowl family, Manute Bowl, all the Bowls are definitely going to get jobs.
Yao Ming coaching third base. Just looking in that mitt, just all over it.
Bird's eye view.
Yeah.
We're going to have a 6'5", right? So if you're over 6'5", you can't be a base coach. If you're under, you get a little stool or you can wear a little heel so that it's equal, okay? We want everything to be equal eventually. Same stats, same tech, same payroll for everyone. Everything's going to be equal one day. That makes a lot of sense. I'm kidding.
No, you can't have that. That's no fun.
No, exactly. Well,
some disparity there.
You thought you would like that one. You would what?
I said you got to have a storyline. You got to have your David and Goliath, your good versus evil, your big teams versus small teams, your stacked farm system, young guy, old vet. You got to have all that. It's makes for more story. It's more fun that way.
It's the spice of life. I'm with you. And
spirit of the game. It's the spirit of the game.
Yeah, your Goliath's going to be Wembayana from the NBA over at third base as the new third base coach for whatever team's going to pay him in the offseason to steal some pitches.
I mean, yeah, those guys aren't doing much in the summer, right? Get a tan, baseball field.
I'm in. I love it. Dude, you're the best. Thank you so much for catching up with us. Really appreciate the time. Congrats on the deal. And we will see you in camp. You'll run into Pierzynski in a few weeks over at camp when we make the stop on the tour, all right?
Always looking forward to seeing him. Thanks for having me on.
Yes. Yeah. Appreciate you. Thanks, Miles. That's Miles Mikolas. And we're back. And then we're going to transition right to our next guest coming up in just a moment. And we appreciate him hanging with us. We had to flip-flop some times around. So we're going to head to Yankee camp when I get the ready. We're going to talk to Greg Joyce, who's the Yankees beat writer. So we'll finish strong today. Todd Father can bring the hard-hitting questions as he continues his prep for Yankee season. Right, Todd? I mean, we try and give you a little Yankee love here and there. So you're all prepped and ready to go. Okay.
I need it.
Yeah. Well, here, before we start, what would you say is the most pressing question right now? Not in camp, but for you. Like you seeing the team last year. I know mine. I've got mine I can share too with you. Oh, he's ready. So you think about it. I'll let you actually ask it first. I'll bring him in and then you'll ask it.
Whatever you want to do.
Okay. His name is Greg Joyce, and we appreciate the time. Greg, thank you for joining us. Check out Greg's work in the New York Post, and he follows the team on a daily basis and now joins us for the first time here on FT. Greg, thanks for the time. I'm going to throw right to Todd Father. He's going to give you a hard-hitting question or some prep here right off the jump if you want one about what's going on at Yankees camp.
Hey, what's up, big dog? Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me, guys.
Good, man. Good. So I don't know if it's a hard-hitting question, but, with all the injuries the Yankees do have, from Volpe to the 2 starting pitchers, who do you see the one coming back first here and making that impact? I know, listen, I talked about it before. I said to a lot of people, if they're 500 after the first month or two, I think I would take that as a plus. But who do you see coming back the quickest, and who do you think is going to make the most impact?
Yeah, I think at this point, it seems like Carlos Rodon is the closest to coming back. I think, Aaron Boone said yesterday he's not far off from the rest of the starters at this point. I could see him probably in late April. It seems like would be the best case scenario. It seems like they're going to take things carefully with him just because they do have so many guys coming back from injury, like you said. But it seems like he's not far behind. He had the elbow surgery to clean up some loose bodies in that elbow, but I think he's closest. In terms of overall impact, I'd say Garrett Cole. Obviously, they played all of last season without him. He's a guy that's a former Cy Young winner. We don't know exactly what version it's going to be when he comes back, but he threw a bullpen today here at Steinbrenner Field, and he was hitting 96. Todd Dawson Wells, after he caught it, said he looks like Garrett Cole. So obviously he still has a long way to go, a couple of months probably before he gets back on a big league mound, but it seems like at this point he's hit all the markers that he needs to. It's a chance he gets into spring training games before this, they leave camp. So again, they're going to take their time with him, but maybe he gets back late May, early June, and but having a guy like that back in the rotation seems to be the biggest one.
Greg, I'll give you a big picture topic that I felt became a thing in New York. The Yankees made plenty of moves this offseason, but it was really to retain their players. So the whole run it back thing, and I heard Paul Goldschmidt address it the other day. It'll be a great excuse, right? If they don't win the World Series, it'll be like, well, they ran it back. That doesn't work. So what's your take on, that narrative? And then also, I know it's early in camp, but does it feel different with the roster construction because of maybe the way playing time will shift? Pitchers like Cole, that wasn't part of the mix last year. Do you feel like run it back is unfair?
Yeah, I don't think it's quite as simple as run it back. I get it. It's I think 24 of the 26 players they had on the roster for the ALDS last October are still in the organization. So in that respect, it's a lot of the same faces, but they didn't have Cole. And over the course of the season, they didn't have the full depth of guys that they got at the trade deadline that they kind of did with an eye on this year, knowing that they had a lot of those guys under control. I think it comes down to, you can argue with it or not, but I think it comes down to the confidence that they had in that team, in the second half after the trade deadline last year. They really thought that, and Aaron Boone has mentioned this multiple times, they really thought that was as good of a roster as they had, at least in Boone's time here. It had as good of a chance as any to win it all. And that's including the team that they went to the World Series with the year before, which obviously included Juan Soto. It obviously didn't work out. The Blue Jays kicked their butt all season, and they ran into them in the LDS, and it was a bad one for them. So we'll see how it goes this year. But obviously, it's they have a full season. They hope of Cam Schlittler. Obviously, he's dealing with some back inflammation early in camp, but they think he's going to be fine by opening day. So if you get a full season of him, you get at least a couple months. Early first half, Cole comes back. You get a full season of having Ryan McMahon at third base. Obviously, the bat has been, didn't explode last season after the trade from the Rockies, but his defense is legit at third base. And you get, some bullpen arms like David Bednar and Camilo Doval. You get them for a full season. Obviously, they still have some holes in the bullpen or some areas for guys to step up. We'll see how that shakes out. But they really think that, and they think what Trent Grisham did last year was for real. And not just a blip on the radar. They think it's repeatable. So, whether you agree with it or not, it comes down to, I think, their confidence in what those guys are capable of doing. And, Brian Cashman said last month that one series wasn't going to shake their confidence in what they believe that group can do. So obviously it's, you can't really change that until this October, and they got a long way to go before then. But, the team last year, for all its flaws, did win 94 games and, one away from winning the AL East. So we'll see how it goes this year, but I think it is a super familiar group, but I think it's not quite as simple as running it back.
They only have flaws because of expectation. If anybody won 94 games, Brewers, and they're like, whoa, they won 97. You talk about any other team that won 94, it's only flaws because of expectation. It's just a team that's built differently. I want to talk about two players. One is 25, just turned 25 in Cam Schlittler, and one is still 24 in Anthony Volpe. Two guys with one, Cam Schlittler is going to be this amazing player. Look what he did to the Red Sox. Volpe, in Yankees' eyes, Yankees fans' eyes, not Yankees organization eyes, fans' eyes, this guy should be out of here. Who has to have a better season for the Yankees to succeed? Knowing that Volpe is going to start a little bit later, but that there's a ton of expectation on him, and people just have already penciled in Cam Schlittler for the All-Star game.
Yeah, I think it is an important year for Volpe. Obviously, year 4 in the big leagues, like you said, it'll be off, a little bit delayed once he gets back from shoulder surgery. But what they got from him in the first few years defensively was legit. Obviously, that took a step back last year. It's hard to tell how much of that is from the shoulder. They kind of in the season kind of downplayed it, what its effect was. It was his left shoulder, but they said once they opened him up for surgery, it turned out to be worse than they thought in the moment. So it's hard to say, quantify for sure how much it impacted him defensively, offensively. But if you get that guy back, that can be a Gold Glove type defender. And the biggest thing is just trying to get any kind of consistency from him at the plate. He's shown it in stretches, including, early on last season. It looked like he had kind of found a way to give you a little bit more consistent impact at the plate. And then he dove on the shoulder, I think. And then there's a fairly clear line of demarcation there for, when his offense started to tail off a little bit. But I think it's an important year for him because at some point you got to do it. They've talked about the confidence that they still have in him. Like you said, he's still young. But besides the last year, still had the defense. But at a certain point, he's going to have to prove that he can impact the game offensively, at least somewhat more consistently than he's done. They have Jose Caballero now, who's like a legitimate backup shortstop or a legitimate shortstop. So they have that option, whereas they haven't always had that, solid option behind him to threaten to kind of take playing time from him. So we'll see how that plays out. Caballero is probably going to get the bulk of the starts there with the first month of the season before Volpe comes back. But Schiller's potential high end in the rotation, obviously, but they have other guys there in the rotation that can kind of carry it with Fried and Rodon once he gets back. But it does seem like it's a bigger year for Volpe here to prove what he can do.
A little bit on the minor league side, questions for you, George Lombard Jr., Spencer Jones. Where do you see these guys fitting in with the big team? I don't know if necessarily they're going to be on the team after spring training, but how do you see them working their way towards, big league time?
Yeah, at a certain point in this offseason, there was a chance, it seemed like, for Spencer Jones to come into this camp and win a job. But obviously when they re-signed Cody Bellinger, it's hard to see a path for him now, especially with Jason Dominguez kind of in front of him and it's at this point, it seems like Dominguez might be back in AAA too, with Jones to start the year. Obviously, if they stay fully healthy, they got to decide whether they want Dominguez as the fourth outfielder on the bench and playing every couple of days, or whether it's more important for him to be playing every day at AAA. But I think it was a big year for Spencer last year at AAA, between AA and AAA. He went on that tear middle of the summer where he kind of flashed that, sent a reminder of what he's capable of doing. Obviously, he's got big time power. He's got some speed, athleticism. They think he can play center field, but obviously the strikeouts are, a sizable concern. But if he's thumping the ball the way he showed last summer, you can learn to live with the strikeouts, I think. So I would imagine he starts the year back at AAA, barring some injuries to the outfield at the big league level. But you guys know, once you're at AAA, you're just an injury or two away from getting that call up. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him at some point this season. We'll see. And then George Lombard Jr., they've said, and scouts have said this too, his defense is, he's major league ready defensively right now. It's the bat that kind of he needs some more development time, but I would think he starts the year back at AA, which is, he got up there pretty quickly last year with a hot start at high A. So, it should be an important year, development year for him at AA, trying to find some more consistency offensively. But we've seen it here. He was in big league camp last year, and some of the defense he has is just, it looks like a major league shortstop. So that part of his game seems ready. It's just kind of making sure the offense can catch up with that.
Who has more at bats in the big leagues this year, Jason Dominguez or Spencer Jones? You hit on Spencer Jones there a little bit. Who gets more ABs? Because I'm looking at it. Jason Dominguez has 220 at bats in AAA so far, and you're sending Spencer Jones back to maybe work on his strikeouts. You might need to send Jason Dominguez back to work on what? His defense, his hitting right-handed. Where do you see that playing out because of the fact that they got Trent Grisham back on the qualifying offer and they re-signed Cody Bellinger?
Yeah, I would expect Dominguez still to get more big league at bats this year. He played some winter ball this offseason, and the focus was kind of work on that defensively left field, and also try to get some reps right-handed. It's tough. If he was better from the right side, he'd be a strong fit off the bench for this team because they are so left-handed. Unfortunately, his stronger side, at least last year, was left-handed, so he's kind of repetitive in some senses. But I still think he probably has a better shot to to get some more legitimate, playing time up here, whether that's, if there's some openings at DH, if there are, in left field, because they can move Cody Bellinger around, if there are other injuries around, in center or first base. But they think, that they don't seem to want to play Dominguez in center, which is where he came up in the minors. But Spencer Jones has, they think they can play a legit center field, even though he's bounced around a little bit in the corners. But just because Dominguez has the experience up here and has done it in flashes, I think, at this point, I'd expect him to get some more at bats, even if he does start the year back at AAA.
It just seems like they just keep rerunning the same guy when the fit's not there. But we'll see. Who knows where it rolls? Giancarlo Stanton across the country in LA. They always talk about, just kind of slowly trudging through the regular season, making sure you're 100% healthy. Giancarlo Stanton is a playoff monster. Do they take any other precautions this season for Giancarlo so that he can be that playoff monster and be 100% healthy? Or do they just roll him out there until he needs a break and then give him a break?
Yeah, I think they'll be careful. Aaron Boone mentioned the other day, like they think it's good for him at this point in his career to be playing 3 out of 4 or 4 out of 5, but to get semi-regular off days mixed in there, they think it's good for him to keep him healthy. Obviously he missed time at the start of last year with the elbows, but when he came back, it was probably one of the more, consistently productive regular seasons he's had in a few years. And that was by, they had that rotation of guys that were starting. So he was getting every, 4th, 5th day off, which seemed to do well for his body. And he played well. So I think, at this point, it sounds like he's coming into camp with, pretty healthy elbows. Obviously it was this time last year that we found out about that he had been dealing with it all off season. But at this point, Boone expects him to be a full go. They have position players reporting on Sunday, so we'll see what happens, if there's any hiccups with that once they do physicals, all that. But from everything we've heard at this point, he seems to be a full go. And I think he'll play pretty consistently at DH, but getting semi-regular off days just to keep his body fresh, like you said, because if you get him, the most important thing is having him in October when it's, his time to kind of, put the team on his back sometimes.
Greg, great insight. We enjoyed it. We'll follow your coverage all year. Hope you had fun and enjoy the sunshine out in Florida today. As you get the early mornings going, get a little tan going, have fun out there. But thank you for joining us. Really appreciate the time. Great info.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. That's Greg Joyce. You can see his work in the New York Post. Give him a follow, the whole deal. Next up, an interesting one from Leo. I like these specials. Oh, Kratz, we had so much fun with this a couple of years ago. Run it back. Fewest regular season wins. -400 for the Rockies. And then if you want to play the rest of the field, we'll give you a few names to consider. White Sox +700. Nationals +800. Cardinals and Angels +1,600. Marlins and Twins +3,500. Ooh, I see something on the board that's very enticing, but I also just want a blanket statement this, Todd Father. You remember when we talked to Ken earlier in the show about how I think that tanking has at least been helped a little bit by the last CBA? When you look at this board, you're like, I don't know, there's not that many terrible teams in baseball right now.
No. I mean, Colorado is definitely a top pick that you really have to consider there. The White Sox, I mean, a +700 for the White Sox. That's interesting, man. My one team that I'm interested in, we talked about earlier, dude, the Marlins could be that worst team too as well with the teams they have to play. So I would throw a little bit on the Marlins just to do it. I mean, a +3,500, you can't go wrong with that. So I don't see the Nationals being that team. I don't see the Angels. They'll find some ways. St. Louis, we talked about a little bit. Yeah, I would say I put a little on Miami, and sorry. I apologize, but it's a tough bet. You got to pick one.
I know what you're saying. I mean, hey, when you get odds like that,
it's the odds that
it's enticing. Wait, but hold up. I'm looking right next to them, and I'm like, could Minnesota be that team at 31 or 35 to 1 odds where it gets bad and then it gets really bad when they start trading off some of the bigger names at the trade deadline. I don't know. Let's see. Kratz.
Well,
we'll get. Yeah, I was going to say Kratz. Let's get his pick, but also we'll see if he likes your Miami pick or my Minnesota pick.
I actually don't like the Miami pick, but I know why you're going after the 3,500. I don't like the Minnesota pick because I think Minnesota, do they get rid of Byron Buxton? Maybe. Like, does Joe Ryan go somewhere? Sure, I get that. Does it get awful? I don't know if it gets awful. To me, a place that could get awful is St. Louis. And at 1,600, I love that number. Now, obviously, the lingering effect here is the Rockies. Like, the Rockies are going to be the worst team. If I'm going somewhere where it's going to be bad, where I'm going to get the worst, and I get some good numbers at plus 1,600, I feel like I'd have to pick St. Louis.
Okay. Todd Father, since he said he didn't like either of our suggestions, I really don't like his. I'm not with you on that one. I do not see St. Louis with the worst record in all of baseball.
They got rid of Sonny Gray.
Yes.
They don't have Miles Mikolas, who made 31 starts. Or 32 starts. You need to find someone else. Wilson Contreras is gone. I get it. Arenado wasn't that great. You lost your one All-Star in Brendan Donovan. You still have Mason Wynn. I get that. Lars Nootbaar's got a lot going on. So, hey, you know what? That's cool. Alec Burleson.
The lineup's not bad.
Who?
The lineup's not bad. Lars Nootbaar, I'm just giving you the fan graphs against righties. Ivan Herrera, Alec Burleson, Nolan Gorman, Mason Wynn, J.J. Weatherholt. They think he'll break camp. Jordan Walker, Pedro Pajes, Victor Scott. A lot of those guys haven't done a ton yet, but I think there's enough potential there where it's going to be like F it mode. We know we're bad. Let's have fun. And they'll shock. I don't want to say shock the world, but they won't be as bad as people think.
They're a fifth place
but
team
I just don't think they're a terrible fifth place team. So
okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
With how the percentages are and the juice, you could take a couple teams, just put a little something on it. Yeah, why not?
It's the Rockies, though. I mean, the Rockies got to play in the National League East. They got to play in the National League. They got to play in the National. Sorry, minus 400. I'm not touching that. But I do
National
like
League West.
The other numbers.
Yeah. National League West.
Yeah, he said East. Yeah.
Oh, when I say East, I'm sorry.
I'm just that guy. I jumped the trolls.
No, that's
winter
good.
games, hockey odds boost. That's all. That's what I'm here for. Odds boost
Chris
token.
gets.
You can score a bigger payout. Go watch the NHLers playing in the Olympics and use that odds boost token dropped into your account. No opt-in necessary. Add it to a hockey bet up to the specified max stake. Then activate the token. If you win your bet with the token, you get a little extra winnings. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. That calendar is sizzling.
Yep.
Foul Territory Spring Training Tour. We have one more show. We do have a show on Monday, okay? And then the Spring Training Tour begins. AJ will be here doing Monday's show. I actually don't think I'll be on Monday's show, but AJ will be there. Kratz will be there. Oh, I'm sorry that I take 10 days off the show the whole year. So Royals camp on Tuesday. Guardians Wednesday. A's Thursday. Dodgers Friday. Mariners Saturday. Sunday, Rangers camp, and then there are a ton of other teams. We're hitting, I think, about 25 teams on a 5-week tour. So if you want to see the rest, then have fun. Trisha Whitaker hosting on Monday. And I heard it could be a very special episode. Buck Showalter joining, and we might have like a semi-live audience. No promises, but Trisha Whitaker hosting on Monday. I had one other thing. Oh, Roman Anthony added to the WBC. He's going to play for Team USA in place of Corbin Carroll. If he passes the spring training physical.
20
insurance.
pounds of muscle. 20 pounds of muscle.
20 pounds. I'm not saying he got heavy, but 20 pounds of pure muscle. Maybe that's a technicality and I'm being a nerd about it. So enjoy the weekend, everyone. Todd Father's birthday weekend continues. What other surprises will he have?
I got a big dinner tomorrow, Valentine's Day, man. My buddy came through. Mark Thank you.
Baller.
I love it. Kratz Hatz on the way out.
It's the Astros. Felt very orange. Felt very orange today.
They got a shout out today from Miles Mikolas, who said if you back up enough as a base coach, you might as well bang a trash can. That was the line of the show. Happy Friday, people. See ya.
Happy
Have a good off
Valentine's
day,
Day.
Monday. Have a good off
Dad,
day, Monday.
happy birthday, Dad. Have a good day.